Hello, everyone. William Armstrong here with your Saturday evening edition. I'm actually going to read technology news directly through Google now, as it brings me different types of news based on on the Discover feed. And here we go in 3, 2, 1. According to an article by Forbes, this is written by Davey Winder, senior contributor in cybersecurity on Forbes.com. What it says here is stop using Windows 7. FBI says how to get Windows 10 for free. Almost exactly 1 month ago, on July 10th, I warned Windows 7 users about the risk of using the Zoom client courtesy of a security vulnerability that wasn't exploitable on either Windows 8 or Windows 10. That was the latest in a whole string of security warnings about to continue to use an outdated operating system like Windows 10. There is going to be a little bit of gameplay while I'm doing this. So let me just do the Forbes website. Hold on, I don't want to show any billing details on the Microsoft website, so I will take you to Forbes. So there is Windows 7, that article just mentioned, so we're going to go to, there is technology section in here. We'll have to search. Here it is. I'll read it. Almost exactly 1 month ago on July 10th, I warned that Windows 7 about the risk of users using the Zoom client. Basically, Zoom is a video conferencing type service that is known to have problems. Risk of using the Zoom client courtesy of a security vulnerability that wasn't exploitable on either Windows 8 or Windows 10. That was the latest in a whole string of security warnings about continuing to use an outdated operating system that has already since long reached its official end of life status. Windows 7 is dead. It has ceased to be expired and gone to meet its maker. Apart from the fact that it does none of these things, of course, Windows 7 remains the second biggest desktop and laptop OS with around a quarter of a market share behind Windows 10 and ahead of Mac OS X 10. That is a fact that concerns me as a security person. The FBI also want to have a word with you if you are a Windows 7 user. Their advice: update to Windows 10. If that sounds like bad news to you, there's also some good news. It appears you can still upgrade from Windows 7 to Windows 10 for free. So that part I will read, and I will jump to play some gameplay through Steam. A little bit of Zuma Deluxe. I'll bring you that and still read the article at the same time. So let me finish the rest of the article from my phone. What has the FBI said about Windows 7 and to whom? The FBI is far from alone amongst law enforcement and even intelligence agencies when it comes to worrying about the security risks of continuing to use Windows 7. The National Cybersecurity Center, NCSC, part of the UK Government Communications Headquarters, or GCHQ for short, intelligence agency, has issued a warning to stop using it for banking or email back in January. So what the FBI is saying to whom and how, the FBI warning came by way of a private industry notification, PIN for short, that has been distributed to private sector partners in the US. The nature of the warning is to be expected as time passes. Windows 7 becomes more vulnerable to exploitation, the FBI PIN stated, due to lack of security updates and new vulnerabilities discovered. While the PIN itself is aimed squarely at enterprises with the talk of seeing cybercriminals targeting computer network infrastructure when the operating systems reach their end-of-life status, the advice really center all users. The FBI advice, in mind for what it's worth, upgrade your operating system to the latest supported version, in this case then, that's Windows 10. Still not convinced that Windows 10 is right for you? Although Windows XP still incredibly has some die-hard fans, the majority has since upgraded. Unfortunately, it would seem to many of those who upgraded to Windows 7 have not been tempted to jump to Windows 10. Sure, Windows 10 is far from free of security problems, as has been well documented by myself and others. I'm using Windows 10. I used to use Windows 8, Windows Vista, and Windows XP in the early days, like in early 2002, 2003. I used to use it back then. However, I would still put my head above the parapet and maintain it's a much more secure OS than Windows 7, simply because those security updates and ongoing developments have ceased. Windows 10 gets Microsoft resources investigated into game-changing hacker protections and ongoing security research. If it is at all possible to upgrade, if all that is holding you back is your own liking for what you're used to rather than a hardware issue, to just do it and do it now. I'll read more of that little bit of the article later. I don't want to spend the whole minute or two of that article. The only thing I have to put is using Windows 7 still in 2020 makes it rife for vulnerabilities to still be continued to be leveraged against Windows 7, because Windows 7 is outdated. Microsoft has since been cut support completely out. They completely threw Windows 7 extended life support down into the trash, and they won't touch it again, so to speak. Therefore, using Windows 7 in 2020 still is a big no-no. That's kind of like the Windows XP apocalypse in early April 2014, where multiple people were still using Windows XP right when it reached its end of life date, and most people kept sticking with that, and obviously Windows XP no longer is that useful in 2020, and so is Windows 7, because of the security vulnerabilities that are plaguing the older versions of Windows indeed. Most software like antivirus may drop Windows 7 support later on. It may or may not drop support for it. It just depends on each antivirus vendor. I really can't speak for any particular vendor out there. Let me just take this game off full screen. Hold on, I'm fine. The game is loud. Okay, Smiley, hold on. The game is a little noisier than usual. Hi, Jamerson. I'm just really talking about technology and gaming, like mixing the two together, bringing a security news gaming thing together instead of making pre-recorded videos and uploading to YouTube every single time. I just figured a live stream may work. Let me just change my Windows 10 night mode. Windows 10 uses the night mode, so I have the nightlight settings turned on automatically for vision problems to help filter blue light. Let me filter that back a bit. Anyway, as I'm saying, if you're still using Windows 7, why are you still touching Windows 7 and still using it? I made a Facebook meme with Kerry Holzman's face in it, and Kerry Holzman got notice of that and wanted to tag himself in it, so I approved it. I was just trying to make it clear that using Windows 7 is a big no-no in 2020, because some programs for it lose updates, stop getting updates, security updates go out the window with Windows 7, meaning that it's just so old that Microsoft has said they're no longer going to get patches for it. It's just going to go unpatched. Thanks, Rightbird. That's why I don't really would recommend using Windows XP, Windows 7, Windows Vista, anything old at all online or with any new software, because it won't work due to the updates and changes in Windows every single time, which is why new software will only work with Windows 10 going forward. Older software will still work with Windows 10 and Windows 7, but after a while the software developers may cut Windows 7 support may cut it loose altogether to the point where the software will not work. Example of this is EA's Origin. I used EA Origin for my Sims games and more, and Origin has announced that Windows 7 and Windows Vista and Windows XP is no longer supported by Origin by EA. But obviously, Windows 10 has the new Microsoft Edge browser, which is Chromium based, but that's been causing some backlash and controversy meaning that Microsoft is shoving the Chromium browser for Windows 10 down people's computers' throats, like shoving it down. Therefore, you won't be able to uninstall it because it's in the system and it's proprietary. Microsoft touts the Windows 10 Chromium Edge browser to be a replacement to Google Chrome. It does have Google Chrome-like functionality where you can use Chrome web extensions directly from the Chrome Web Store in Chromium in Google's, or actually from Google Chrome extensions into Microsoft Edge Chromium. Opera is also Chromium based, so it also supports Google Web Store extensions like Google Web Store, Google extension support on Opera, and the new Edge Chromium spinoff. The old Microsoft Edge that uses the Edge HTML is very weak. I've dealt with the old Edge HTML browser and it would not do very pleasant. There is an issue where if you use a Google Chrome browser to try to download something from Microsoft.com, Microsoft might block you from downloading files from Microsoft's website using Google Chrome's browser because the browser user agent string gives away the fact that you're using Chrome. It gives it away because when you type in what is my user agent through Google, it'll automatically just tell you, it'll show you a site, like site you click on, and it'll show you what it is. Let me demonstrate that to you now. Okay, what? Let me just do this. Okay, if we go to what is my user agent underneath who is hosting this.com, let me make sure it doesn't show my IP real quick. Let me just make sure it's not showing the IP address of my home internet provider. Let me just temporarily blank my screen so it's not showing any of it. And I'll get back to the game. Okay, I'm going to read it. It shows that something's a little strange. Hold on. It should be able to show my user agent. If the site I just showed you does show an IP address, I don't want to show it. The browser I'm using is Mozilla 5.0, Linux x86-64. It's a weird example of a user agent, but let me just try to find what is my .com. What is my .com will tell you what browser I'm using. It just says I'm using Mozilla 5.0, Windows NT 10. It shows I'm using browser name Chrome, Safari Edge 84. It's a Google Chrome spinoff. But because the site's showing my IP address, I've temporarily blocked my screen. Hi, Hippy Dippy 89. Let me jump back to the game and resize my window. Let me just reposition my layout. Let me just do this. Whoop. My camera will be overlaying parts of the screen as an overlay. Hang on while I jump to my phone. Streamlabs OBS won't let me interact with chat on the computer screen. It will not allow me to do so. It just won't do it. My camera will be overlaying. Okay, back to the game. I'm using Streamlabs OBS. Streamlabs OBS is featured by Matt Kaiichi Hefe, the guy behind Trivium, the metal band Trivium. He uses it. He uses the OBS Streamlabs version of it. The regular OBS is a little too far ahead for me, so I use the Streamlabs OBS. Instead, we're going to go back to the game. I have Zuma on Xbox 360, and I also have Zuma's Revenge on PS3. I also have an Xbox Live compilation disc. I also have Zuma's Revenge right here, along with Bejeweled 3 on the disc. It's an arcaded disc pack that gives you extra games that are on the Xbox My Games launcher area. That's what that is. So I figured, why don't I just stream games and still bring you news, but not like how the major news stations do it. Streamlabs OBS is easy for me because I'm able to put in my YouTube credentials and I get the YouTube stream key and I'll automatically hit go live and type up the stream event name, description. It pushes out notifications to people on YouTube. If you have the bell turned on, it automatically do it. And Smiley, there you are. OBS Studio, it can be a little difficult. I tried and it was easy for me, but I would rather have Streamlabs OBS to shorten things a bit. Since Streamlabs OBS and Streamlabs support using, or Streamlabs OBS and OBS do support YouTube and Twitch and other things, I just figured why not just stick with Streamlabs OBS. What do you mean by that, right? Elaborate. On that note, it's like I said, when it comes to privacy security online, it needs to be taken seriously because it's not taken too seriously nowadays as much. When meeting people online through online dating sites, it's risky because you have somebody asking you to send iTunes gift cards. I've actually had that happen to me, but I don't fall for it. Now, I really don't, but that's just how it is. Oops. Let me sign into chat. Okay, I can't do this inside of Streamlabs OBS. It says this action cannot be performed inside. It won't allow me to log into chat from Streamlabs OBS. It's forbidden. It just won't work. So I have to look at my phone to add people as moderators from my phone since I can't use the chat inside of Streamlabs OBS. It just says it's not supported. That OBS will not allow it. It's not allowed in YouTube chat through that. It just won't do it. Like you just saw the error message. Hold on, I'm chatting to people on Discord. My Discord username won't be given out. Hold on, let me pause real quick. Let me just try to bring out more of the streams. Whoops. Don't want to do no Instagram, but I didn't mean to do this. Hold on. Hello, STG. I'm just up here doing. I did a little bit of news and some gaming. I will run this until like 12 a.m. or 1, and then I will do news at the last minute and wrap it up. But now this is just a gameplay segment for quite some time until I hit near the end of the stream. Then I will do a little bit more news wrap up. Then I'll call it a night. Thank you for that. Streamlabs OBS still won't allow me to interact with chat from it, so I gotta always jump to my phone. For that stupid reason what just came up earlier. If I click this, it says I cannot do this inside of Streamlabs OBS. That message, and it prompts a web browser to open, so that's there. So I can't do that. I gotta always return to my phone, which my phone is where I can look to. But I will talk about OkCupid. Let's do that. Let's do OkCupid. I will talk about the security flaw with it. Let me just put that window there. There may be some background chattering in the living room where I live at, which can be heard, but not that bad. So, OkCupid. There was a recent cyber breach involving OkCupid. It just says here from ZDNet. OkCupid, hackers want your data, not a relationship. This is from the ZDNet Ziff Davis network. I'll read it. Researchers discovered a way to steal the personal data and the personal and sensitive data of its users on the popular dating app. Researchers exploring OkCupid for security holes have found a way for hackers to pillage these sensitive data of users. I'll read it. OkCupid has catered to over 50 million registered users since its launch. As one of the most popular options out there for dating alongside the rivals such as Tinder, Plenty of Fish, eHarmony, Match, and Grindr. The online dating platform is used to organize roughly over 50 million dates per week. In a time where the novel coronavirus pandemic and social distancing measures make meeting new people in a bar or other public space more difficult, many of us have turned to online dating and virtual meetups as an alternative. Another C also is a threesome app exposes user data locations from London to the White House. This is why I hate dating apps to a passion. Dating apps experienced a surge in users or requests for new features such as video chats began changing the way their platforms work, and OkCupid was no exception. The dating platform experienced a 20% increase in the conversations worldwide and a 10% increase in matches since the beginning of lockdowns imposed due to COVID-19. With an expanding user base, however, there comes an additional risk to personal data known as PII, personal identifiable information. However, there comes additional risk to personal data when security is not up to scratch. On Wednesday, Checkpoint Research disclosed a set of vulnerabilities in OkCupid that could lead to exposure to sensitive profile data on the OkCupid app. Here's a side note. Remember the Ashley Madison hack? That went disastrously wrong when Ashley Madison had a data breach and exposed millions of users. I was not one of them. I repeat, I was not one of those users. Ashley Madison has had a major data breach a long time ago, and the site was later facing some problems. The hijack of user accounts to perform various actions without their permission, and the theft of user authentication tokens, IDs, and email addresses. Meaning your email address can get stolen directly through that. The app in question is OkCupid on Android version 40.3.1 on Android 6.0.1, becoming the test subject. The cybersecurity researchers have reverse engineered the mobile software and discovered deep link functionality, which it meant that it could be possible for attackers to send custom malicious links to open the mobile app. I will be back after these messages. I will be right back. Whew. Okay. And yes, I'm having me a wine cooler. And if you haven't seen Rightbird, go look at Rightbird. She plays video games too on PS4. Back to the story. Back to the article. Reflected cross-site scripting, or XSX. Shit! Excuse my language. XSS. I can't. XSS attack vectors were also discovered due to coding issues in the app's user settings functionality, which opened up a path with the deployment of JavaScript code. I'll take all of this and condense it down for y'all. Combined, an attacker could send an HTTP GET request and XSS payload from their own server, on which JavaScript could be then executed via Webview. Webview is a component in Android. It's kind of like a web browser. I'll explain to you what Webview does. Android System Webview is used in Android, which is on your phone and tablets. This is basically what it's used for, mainly just for web browsing. That's what the Android System Webview is purposely used on older versions of Android. Later versions of Android have the Android System Webview component removed. I'll just open this in private window, since it may show my email address for Google. I don't want to do that. Let me just expand the window out. This is the Android System Webview component that is seen on older versions of Android that are like a built-in embedded web browser. That's technically what Webview is. It is powered by Chrome that allows Android apps to display, you're welcome, Rightbird, to display web content. This component is pre-installed on your device and should be kept up to date to ensure you have the latest security updates and other bug fixes. This is for older versions of Android that utilize Webview, but newer versions of Android overwrite Webview with Chrome built in. I'll pull out an example of what it would look like. This is what I'm going to use. My blue phone here as an example. And I'm going to pull up what it is, if I can find the Webview app inside my phone. I'm going to use this as an example. This is Android 8.1 Oreo Go Edition, a lightweight version for phones that use 512 megabytes of RAM, not gigabytes, megabytes of RAM, 512 megs. For this is a low-end phone. I'm going to see all 46 apps. I'm going to see if the Webview part is inside to the system. If I can find the Android Webview component, I will show it to you. All apps disabled. This one's using Android Go, so here it is, Android System Webview. It's disabled. So newer versions of Android, such as Android 8 and above, have the Webview component purposely blocked or disabled, meaning you can't turn it on. There's no option to turn on the Webview component. That's just how it's programmed. Because most phone manufacturers do not all take Android and customize it. That's the Android Webview component that is seen inside of Android. Let me just make sure the phone brightness is turned down a bit. But that's the Android Webview. Me doing this for news and gaming is meant to be humorous and relaxed. It is. It's not meant to be too serious. It's just meant to bring people information that they can possibly use. Hello, Mr. Charlie Cesar. Yeah. There you are. So enough about the Webview. Blah, blah, blah. Back to this whole thing about why I don't like dating apps as much. I really don't like them a whole lot. Facebook also got into the dating scene by creating Facebook Dating as well. They did the exact same thing but different. The Facebook dating app is only available for mobile, not on desktop only. I'll get back to this. If a victim clicks on a crafted link potentially sent personally through the app or posted on a public forum, PII, profile data, user characteristics such as those submitted when the profiles are created, preferences, email addresses, IDs, authentication tokens can all be compromised and exfiltrated to the attacker's command and control server, C2. As the vulnerabilities could be used to steal IDs and tokens, this could also lead to attackers executing actions on their behalf, such as sending messages. However, if a full account takeover is not possible due to existing cookie protections. I do use Facebook, but not that much. I do have a Facebook link in my profile, but I don't really get a lot of friend requests, and that's a good thing. Checkpoint also uncovered a misconfigured cross-origin resource sharing, or CORS, CORS policy in the API server of api.okcupid.com, allowing any origin to send requests to the server and to read responses. Further attacks could lead to the filtration of user data from the profile API endpoint. Long story short is that personal information on these dating apps can be exploited by hackers and exfiltrate the personal data of email addresses, IDs, and tokens, and sending messages. Basically, hackers can try to find a way to break into a company's server or what computers or web servers and exfiltrate personal data. And obviously, here's another part. While the theft information submitted to a dating app may not seem like such a big deal, the wealth of personal data possibly harvested by attackers could be used in social engineering attempts. Social engineering attacks, or social engineering, is used to manipulate somebody into doing something. This is what it looks like. We'll go to a Wikipedia article. This is about information security, InfoSec. I'll read it. This is just a link, there's multiple threats of social engineering, multiple computer attacks. Youch. HGX or Hellgirl X or Hellgirl X does video games or HGX. She had a Facebook troll by the name of King Mao cloning her profile and making copies of her profile to look like HGX on Facebook. She reported it and the account got taken down. Same thing with a YouTube channel. We all had to get King Mao's impersonated YouTube channel of HGX taken down because he was impersonating HGX to make her look bad. Back to this. In the context of information security or InfoSec, social engineering is the psychological manipulation of people into performing actions or divulging confidential information. This differs from social engineering within the social sciences, which does not concern the divulging of confidential information. A type of confidence trick for the purpose of information gathering, fraud, or system access, it differs from the traditional con in that it is often one of many steps in a more complex fraud scheme. It has also been defined as any act that influences a person to take any action that may or may not be in their best interests. Basically, manipulation is what it is. Basically, it's like that. There is automotive security as well, involving automotive security in cars. There's a bunch of threats. An app known as Advanced Persistent Threat. You've got backdoors. You've got bootkits. You've got a rootkit. You've got viruses, denial of service. These are all the security threats that hurt the cyberspace that can really cause a world of trouble if unleashed. There's also screen scrapers that can basically extract data from human readable output that can scrape data. It's called data scraping. Basically, social engineering is a type of manipulating people into doing things that are not right, like breaking into confidential computer networks. Scammers and hackers tend to use, scammers and black hat hackers or black hat hacker like people that do bad things often use social engineering to trick people into clicking on a link or phishing, which is collecting private information, like collecting credentials, like a PIN number. There's phishing, vishing, and smishing. Vishing. By the way, Charlie, Shock the Gamer is a male at most, I think. Correct me if I'm wrong. But vishing is known as voice phishing, is the criminal practice of using social engineering over a telephone system to gain access to private, personal, and financial information from the public a purpose of financial reward. It is also employed by attackers for reconnaissance purposes to gather more detailed intelligence on a target organization. That's what that is for phishing, voice phishing. It's a form of criminal phone fraud. Landline telephone services have traditionally been trustworthy, terminated in the physical locations known to the telephone company and associated with the bill payer. Now, however, phishing fraudsters often use modern voice over IP VoIP features such as caller ID spoofing and automated voice systems (IVR) to make it difficult for legal authorities to monitor, trace, or block. Voice phishing is typically used to steal credit card numbers or other information used in identity theft schemes from individuals. Computer systems can create audio that sounds like a particular person speaking, known as deepfakes or deepfake, giving the impression that a trusted individual is making a request. Deepfakes are serious. Here's an example of deepfakes. This is from the scene of Man of Steel. Actress Amy Adams in the original left is modified to have the face of actor Nicolas Cage right. There's Nicolas Cage's face right here, which is recognizable. But here is Amy Adams on the left is her, but Nicolas Cage's face, her face is modified with Nicolas Cage. Basically, his face is put over the face of Amy Adams. That's basically what it is. Deep fake is a portmanteau of deep learning and fake. That's basically what deep fakes are. Basically, it is deep learning. It's basically artificial intelligence and machine learning to generate deep fakes. Deep fakes are toxic as they've caused problems in celebrity, adult videos, adult revenge, fake news, hoaxes, and financial fraud. This is basically what that is. This article is in very ridiculous length. You can search deep fake on Wikipedia to know more. Voice phishing, known as vishing, V-I-S-H-I-N-G, allows you to use text-to-speech synthesizer to do a lot of bad things. There is voice cloning, which it basically involves deep learning algorithms, which allows one to manipulate currently existing audio, photos, and videos that are hyper-realistic to cause trouble. Smishing, or S-M-I-S-H-I-N-G, is the form of phishing, but through SMSing, through text messagings. The act of using SMS text messaging to lure victims into a specific course of action like phishing, it can be clicking on a malicious link or divulging information. That's a form of smishing, or SMS phishing. Impersonation, pretending or pretending to be another person with the goal of gaining access physically to a system or building. Impersonation is used in the SIM swap scam fraud. The SIM swap scams, known as port-out scams, SIM splitting, smishing, SIM jacking, and SIM swapping, is a type of account takeover fraud that generally targets a weakness in 2FA, or multi-factor, two-factor, or two-step verification, which the second factor or step is a text message or SMS or call placed to a mobile telephone. Now, obviously, there have been incidents of two-factor authentication SIM swap scam hijacks. The incidents are a high number of profile hacks have occurred utilizing SIM swap, including some on the social media sites Instagram and Twitter. In 2019, Twitter CEO's Jack Dorsey's Twitter account was hacked via this method. It was broken into. In May 2020, a lawsuit was filed against an 18-year-old Irvington High School senior in Irvington, New York. Ellis Pinsky, who was accused with 20 co-conspirators of the swindling digital currency investor Michael Terrapin, the founder and chief executive officer of the Transfer Group, of $23.8 million in 2018, when the accused was 15 years old through the use of the data stolen from smartphones by SIM swaps. The lawsuit was filed in federal court in White Plains, New York, and asked for triple damages. Pinsky had previously been recognized by the College Board as being an AP scholar. I'm drinking a Seagram's Escape Strawberry Daiquiri, a wine cooler. Put it like that. Charlie, there wasn't really no need to retract your message, you know. There really was no need for that. I mean, really, to be honest. Zero need to be doing all that. I'm sorry, but Charlie, you didn't have to zap your message back. You really didn't. Let me just slide the Streamlabs OBS window down to the side. With Windows 10, I can create multi-windows, like cram windows next to each other. Have like a multi-window. So that's an example of what phishing and SMS like is. That's exactly what that is. I'm going to remap myself to the upper or to the right side or left side of the screen, where I can cover up the OBS window, full size it. It'll just cover up a tenth of the screen, but not all of this. That's fine. See you, Charlie. Okay. The camera is tracking all pitifully, so I have auto face tracking on. I can just point it at my face a little more because it's tending to focus on my arm. I've got it to where it tracks my face. Let me turn on my mic so it's not so loud. Let me turn on the desktop audio a little more. That's basically how, a nutshell, how fraud is used over a SIM card known as a subscriber identity module, or SIM. It's a card that has a chip that authenticates mobile subscribers on mobile telephone networks. Most cell phone providers have two-factor authentications to prevent SIM swapping. Before, that wasn't the case. Therefore, cell phone accounts can get hijacked really quick without two-factor authentication from your mobile carrier. Obviously, it's how the case of it is. So that's an example of fraud, SIM swap scam, how it's easy for someone to lose their cell phone account. There have been examples of people losing their phone number that they got through their carrier that they registered by subscribing to their cell phone carrier. Their example of how people got their phone numbers from a victim stolen from them, to the point where the victim has no service on their cell phone that they subscribe to their carrier. Then the fraudster or criminal took the victim's phone number that's on their account and poured it over to the criminal, resulting in the victim or the subscriber customer of the cell phone carrier losing service permanently. The victim here, the criminal. The criminal goes to, like, for example, T-Mobile, AT&T, or Verizon, tries to social engineer a cell phone store employee to give away account credentials and do a lot of credentials to get into the victim's cell phone account and steal their service away from the paying subscriber. Excuse me, which results in the victim having no cell phone service, and then the criminal that stole the victim's cell phone service away from them get cell phone service illegally because they stole it. It's theft of service. They basically stole someone else's service to use as their own. That's basically, in a nutshell, how that worked. That's example of social engineering, and it relates to InfoSec, information security, or IT, cybersecurity. There is computer fraud, cyber warfare, internet security, mobile security, and network security. There's a lot of cyber crime or computer oriented crime, like cyber sex trafficking, I'll read just a snippet of this. Cyber sex trafficking or live streaming sexual abuse is a cybercrime involving sex trafficking and live streaming, of course, sexual acts and or on the webcam. I didn't want to say the R word out loud. I really don't. Don't want to go there with that. Because I had it happen to me and it may be a sensitive subject, so I don't want to read that subject out loud. But this is what InfoSec Security talks about cybersecurity and issues in cyberspace and how it's easy to make mistakes that allow cyber criminals into your business network. It allows breaches such as ransomware. It allows a ton of criminals to infiltrate computer networks and do a lot of different damage, such as exfiltrating sensitive data or encrypting sensitive files. An example of this is through ransomware. Ransomware encrypts files and it locks you out of your own files. Hold on. Hold on for a minute. I think I turned the mic down a little too low. Might have cranked it way too low. Hold on, let me verify if I can hear myself. Yeah, I turned it down too low, so that's probably why. I'm listening to the stream from my phone, so I'm able to... Yeah, that's why. I turned it down a little too fast. What is it, STG? What are you getting flooded with? Like, what are you doing? I'm having me an alcoholic beverage, Seagrams. Oh. Send who a DM? And ignore my bald spot on my head. I'll show you Lukey games, the games I ordered recently that I got. I spelt Namco Museum with no space. Okay, the game I've got coming soon in 2020 is Namco Museum 50th Anniversary. This is the game I got. I ordered this. This game right here is available for Xbox, GameCube, and PS2. It has games like Dig Dug, Galaga, Galaxian, Pole Position, Spy Hunter, or Rolling Thunder, Galaga, Pac-Man, Bosconian. It's basically a arcade compilation game that is just like Namco Museum arrangements. I will show you. I had a Namco Museum Namco Museum remix for Wii in 2007 in the 2007 days of the Wii. Back then, this is the Namco Museum arrangement version that I got on her original Xbox on the Xbox 360. That's what I got. I ordered a Lego game. I'll show you. I've got the Lego Star Wars. There's a game guide, an official Prima Games guide right here. There's a Wii version. I have the Xbox 360 version of Lego Star Wars. The one I recently ordered was for the original Xbox that's backwards compatible. It's either this one or this one of these two. I think it's this one. Yeah, I think I ordered this one, the Lego Star Wars 2. And last but not least is a Burnout game for the original Xbox racing game. I love strawberry and cherry fruit flavored wine coolers as they taste good. I have Namco Museum Volume 2 for the PS1 on PS3 digital download. I have Namco Museum Volume 1. I have Namco Museum Volume 3, 4, and 5. This sells for $163.47. That's $61.47. That's $4.47. That is $6.97. That is $47.97. This is $5, 31, 21, $7, 27, 13, 14, 4, 8, 25. Different prices for each game per system. This is the Xbox 360. That's $40. There's also Halo that is actually $200. Like close, I think. Well, that's $147. But what was really selling for quite rare of a price is, let's see, not Halo. The Halo 3 Xbox 360 sold for $117. There is the Xbox Live kit for the original Xbox that sells a lot more because it's rare. My complaint is that most game consoles that are rare sell a little bit higher. That cause them not to sell very good. This is Halo 2. I remembered Halo 2 from back in the Xbox days. I played it. It's compatible in the Xbox 360 as a backwards compatible title, so it's Halo Combat Evolved. I've tried Halo 2 and I love it. Let's do. I used to have a pre-played Microsoft original Xbox in early 2001, 2002 from EB Games. At the time, I used to have it. And it had game saved already in the system's hard drive. Now, I wish I had an original Xbox like this to play some of the older games that are not backwards compatible on Xbox 360. But I have links to Time Sweeper digitally downloaded. I purchased. It got Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Let's see. I have the Xbox 360 Connect. I don't really remember the original Xbox Duke controller, that big giant controller. I don't remember that one. I don't, not a whole lot. I do remember the slimmer controller that came with the, or basically I remember the Duke controller partially that came with the original Xbox, but it later shrunk to a slimmer controller because the Duke controller was too fat for my hands. Now, let's see what else I wanted to show. Hold on, thinking. Hold on. My mind went bzzz, it just flashed. It just went on me. Actually, the backwards compatibility list for Xbox 360 I wanted to show. My original Xbox 360 to one I made a video on recently back in 2019. After a family member gave it to me, it basically blue screened due to bad capacitors. But this is the Wikipedia list, official list by Wikipedia editors based off of Microsoft's website. Let me pull the window out a little more. I have this fan running right there. That's what you may hear. See, these are all the games that are backwards compatible on the Xbox 360 that are playable, but some of these have technical problems because it's using virtual emulation, as in software emulation, because the console is a PowerPC based 360. I will explain a little bit about that. Modern Vintage Gamer does a good job of explaining backwards compatibility on the Xbox 360. Does a very good job at it, of how it works. The first model I got was this one in 2005 at the time, 2006 then. That was my first model then at the time. I've got this model right here, the Slim. That's a premium 2005 edition I got. But this is the redesigned Slim, the 4 gig Slim that can stand up with the virtual touch button. Shocker Zoo, I've talked to him and told him about that I have this model here that's got the 2 capacitive buttons, and if I accidentally bump those buttons, I end up turning the system on. Those things are very sensitive to light, bump, or brush against. And obviously, this is the PowerPC processor that is used in consoles and computers. I'll basically read it. This is PowerPC, and it's developed by Apple, IBM, Motorola Alliance in early October 2nd, 1991. It is a RISC processor. It is a reduced instruction set. CISC is complex instruction set. It stands for, the acronym means Performance Optimization with Enhanced RISC Performance Computing. That's a mouthful. Sometimes abbreviated as PPC. The PowerPC processors were used in Apple computers primarily. It was used in Power Macintoshes, Power Mac, iMac, iBook. It was used in a lot of Apple computers. This is the iBook that was PowerPC based at the time in the early 2000s. This is the iMac. Now, this is the modern iMac, but the PowerPC ones were all the way up until 2007. The first gen was the big clamshell, like the big all-in-one with the CRT, the CPU in it. This is the Imac G3, I remember. These are the different iMacs, and the ones I remember are mainly this model, the G3 series. The Bondi Blue transparent internet. It stood for Internet Machine because it was an all-in-one. It had everything integrated. The top half was the high voltage CRT tube. The lower half was the CPU, where all the CPU stuff is underneath the monitor. It's assembled that way. These all used Power PCs until the 2006 2006 iMacs. The 2006 iMacs used Intel, and I heard that Apple is switching to ARM processors later on at some point. This is a 2006 Intel Mac, Intel-based variant that is Intel only. I've used Power Macs back in a school I used to go to in early 1998 to 2003. The Emac is an educational machine that is rare only for schools, not for home use. In 2008, someone gave me an old Imac G3 that was a Bondi blue color that had a CRT. It used the PowerPC G3 model. The hard drive was from 4 to 60 gigs. It used Mac OS all up to Mac OS 9.0. It launched in 1998 when I was a child. It was discontinued in 2003. I was a kid then when it was discontinued. I was a child in 98 when it was launched. Same thing all the way through to the 2004 launch of the PowerPC G5 and the iMac G5, and then the discontinuation when I was in middle school in 2006 when it was discontinued. Welcome to William Armstrong's Tech Adventure. This is basically what I was explaining why the Xbox 360 won't handle Xbox original titles too well, because PowerPC was used in consoles and a multiple discontinued consoles. It was used in the Bandai Pippin. Bandai Pippin is a console made by Apple Computer in 1995. It was a console that sold for $599 US. It was launched in Japan and North America. The Apple Pippin. The PS3 uses a PowerPC processor. Sony and Toshiba made that. Nintendo used it for the Wii U and GameCube and Wii. Microsoft did the same thing with the Xbox 360. That's why the original Xbox titles don't run as they should on the original Xbox because the hardware switches. The switching from Intel to PowerPC is what really broke the backwards compatibility on the first gen Xbox. There are over 4 different generations. You got the first gen, second gen, third, fourth. So there are 4 generations of Xbox. The 4th generation is Series X. The 3rd gen is Xbox One. The 2nd gen was 360. The 1st gen was the original Xbox, which was a PC type console. It is supposed to be almost the successor to the Sega Dreamcast, almost, but not quite. But that's because the Sega Dreamcast lost due to PlayStation 2 selling off pretty well. I do remember the PS2, and I also remember touching a Dreamcast in early 1999. Sometime in holiday season 1999, I remember touching one in person at a toy store, like a Toys R Us. But we're going to go back to the game. Let me just slide this on over to reveal more of the screen. Let me just shrink my camera overlay down. Shark the Gamer, the Xbox One all digital edition is the one without a disc drive. I have to break it to you. Thank you, Shark, for letting me know my mic was muted. Oops. Back to game, shall we? Yeah, that was a technology segment about technology and gaming combined. Insert cybersecurity news in a nutshell, brought in a little bit of that, and privacy segment. Basically, I also wanted to talk about China and how China censors half the internet. I'm aware that Serpent ZA is South Africa letters, ZA. Basically, Serpent ZA is a YouTuber that talked about, or basically made videos in China. But the problem with him is Serpent ZA couldn't really interact with YouTube and Google in China because China blocks nearly 90% of the internet connections to Google and YouTube. So 90% of the internet in China is limited, censored, so you're not able to use almost all of the internet. Discord, Facebook, like mainly most of that is blocked up in China, so you would have to use the China version like Weibo or Wechat, things like that, or Alibaba or AliExpress. But Weibo and Wechat, most of those are available in China. TikTok is owned by a company called ByteDance in China. The president wanted to ban TikTok because it's automatically owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. But the sale of TikTok to Microsoft, that's a bit up in the air because the fact that if TikTok was banned, it would upset a lot of millennials and make things difficult. And Tencent is another Chinese company that's involved in certain US stuff. Tencent is a Chinese company that also is being like mainly the issue with Chinese companies is that they're often called scrutiny over privacy and data collection. Just like how TikTok almost threatens to get banned from the US. Like I think India has banned TikTok. Amazon has gotten into the habit of telling employees to delete TikTok from their phones, but then Amazon quickly revokes it back. So there's a bit of back and forth, naysay, hearsay, contradiction over TikTok being banned, and then Amazon tells its workers to delete off their phones, and then takes it right back. It's just a lot of contradiction here. Almost everything is manufactured in China and shipped around the world, which is where most of the manufacturing of goods and technology products come from anyway. Anything like that. I'm not really against China or the Chinese a whole lot. I'm not. I actually had a neighbor who is Chinese descent that immigrated from China to U.S. that I met after they moved here to my town from when Hurricane Harvey hit in Texas. They basically moved out here momentarily due to the damage Hurricane Harvey left. And the neighbors that were Chinese, the mother didn't really speak a lot of English, spoke just a small amount of English, but spoke Chinese. Basically, the neighbor who worked in a medical environment basically was able to translate things into Chinese for his mother to understand and translate back. So long story short, I'm not xenophobic. I'm not. It is just that other people might be xenophobic to Asians or anyone of different ethnicities. I remember during the COVID pandemic, people were being a bit xenophobic towards Asians because of the pandemic, but that's not the case. As like I said, I've actually tried Chinese food and I liked it. I've tried shrimp fried rice and sweet and sour chicken, and the neighbors that were Chinese that lived upstairs in the condominium complex where I live at, they were very nice to me. They were very friendly and nice. And the moment I will never forget is getting the chance to try homemade shrimp fried rice, or not shrimp fried, but I think it's shrimp fried rice made by people that are actually Chinese immigrants. Because when I asked my neighbor that's Chinese about Chinese food in America, he basically said it was more Americanized than naturally done by those who are Chinese descent. Just like Peking and other Chinese restaurants don't tend to do it the way that people that are Chinese do Chinese food. It's just Americanized, not done from the East. So things like that. I love rice. I've tried shrimp fried rice, which is good. Sweet and sour chicken is another one. There's an Asian restaurant that I went to in the county nearby me, and I actually ate there. I did eat certain foods like egg drop soup. I had a bit of an egg roll and things like that. I'm just admitting it that I'm not xenophobic. It is just that xenophobia is really rude and weird just because someone's nationality, preconceived notions about all that. So that's just me. TikTok is made by ByteDance, a Chinese company. It is. Don't be xenophobic, but that's just how it is. I learned that by looking up TikTok and who was behind it. There are some apps on the iOS and Android Play Store that are indeed made in the US. Some are developed from another country, like TikTok's China-owned, which is why the president wanted to ban TikTok. Like, wanted to literally ban it in the US, which some countries might have already banned it. But let's just go to the facts, shall we? Click. I'll take you to the facts. Here are the facts. I'm going to get my facts straight. Twitter's expressed interest in buying TikTok's U.S. operations sources by Reuters. Okay, I got a script blocker enabled to control scripts on websites. So I have to set it to allow. This is what it is. TikTok's U.S. operations sources. Twitter expressed interest in buying TikTok. Reuters, Twitter Inc. Twitter.in is the company's name. Twitter Inc. has approached TikTok's Chinese owner ByteDance to express interest in acquiring the U.S. operations of the video sharing app. Two people familiar with the matter told Reuters. As experts raised doubts over Twitter's ability to put together financing for a potential deal. And it is far from certain that Twitter would be able to outbid Microsoft Corp, MSFT.O, and complete a such transformative deal in the 45 days that U.S. President Donald Trump has given ByteDance to agree to a sale. The sources said on Saturday. The news of Twitter and TikTok being in preliminary talks, and Microsoft still is being seen the front runner for bidding in the app's U.S. operations, was reported earlier by the WSJ or Wall Street Journal. Twitter will have a hard time putting together enough financial financing to acquire even the U.S. operations of TikTok. It doesn't have enough borrowing capacity, said Eric Gordon, a professor at the University of Michigan. If Twitter tries to put together an investor group, the terms will be tough. Twitter's own shareholders might prefer the management focus on its existing business, he added. One of Twitter's shareholders, private equity firm Silver Lake, is interested in helping fund a potential deal, of one of the sources added. Twitter has also privately made a case that its bid would face less regulatory scrutiny than Microsoft's and will not face any pressure from China, given that it is not active in that country, the sources said. Twitter is also blocked in China. TikTok, ByteDance, and Twitter declined to comment. TikTok has come under fire from U.S. lawmakers over national security concerns surrounding data collection. Earlier this week, Trump unveiled bans on U.S. transactions with the China-based owners of messaging app Wechat and TikTok, escalating tensions between the two countries. Wechat is owned. It's actually based in China for Wechat and TikTok. Trump said this week that he would support Microsoft's efforts to buy TikTok's U.S. operations if the government got a substantial portion of the proceeds. He nevertheless said he will ban the popular app on September 15th, 2020. That is next month when TikTok will face a potential ban. Microsoft said on Sunday it was aiming to conclude negotiations for a deal by mid-September. Therefore, TikTok is going to be brought by Microsoft or Twitter or any other U.S. company to avoid getting banned. Basically, TikTok has come under fire due to the way it is owned in China. Even Amazon gave their employees a slap on the wrist about having TikTok on their phones, mainly on their work phones, more or less. And Bill Gates called Microsoft's potential TikTok deal a poison chalice. Bill Gates, the former CEO and founder of Microsoft, himself criticized Microsoft from buying it. Microsoft was the co-founder, or Bill Gates co-founded Microsoft in the early 70s, 80s. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates described Microsoft's potential acquisition of TikTok as a poison chalice in an interview with Wired published on Friday. I have no idea what a poison chalice is, so we're going to look that up. It's just an English definition. Here it is, noun, British. Poison chalice. That's what it means. An assignment, award, or honor which is likely to prove disadvantage or source of problems to the recipient. That's what a poison chalice translates to. Gates, who now serves as the technology advisor of Microsoft after stepping down from the board of directors in March, to focus on philanthropic efforts to share to stop the coronavirus testing, vaccinations, and Microsoft's potential TikTok deal. There is a Microsoft China corporation in China as well. Gates noted that being big in the social media business is no simple game, telling the publication that Microsoft making the industry more competitive is probably a good thing. When asked about President Donald Trump's demand that the TikTok be sold to an American company with the federal government taking a cut, Gates described this move as strange. I agree that the principle this is proceeding on is essentially strange. The cut thing that is doubly strange, or doubly strange. Anyway, Microsoft will have to deal with all that, he said. Gates also deflected when he was asked whether he was wary about Microsoft jumping into the social media game. I mean, this may sound self-serving, but I think that the game being more competitive is probably a good thing. But having Trump kill off the only competitor is bizarre, he said. Trump and the Secretary of State Mike Pompeo stated in July that the U.S. was looking into a potential ban on the TikTok app. At the end of July, the New York Times reported Microsoft was in talks acquiring TikTok. In August, Microsoft officially confirmed it has been in talks to acquire TikTok's operation in the U.S., Canada, Australia, and New Zealand, and it stated it will complete discussions by September 15th. That's the day when it's supposed to be banned. On Thursday, President Trump issued an executive order that banned TikTok's parent company ByteDance, a Chinese firm, from any transaction with any person with respect to any property subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. President Trump mentioned in the order that the puppet app could allow the Chinese Communist Party access to Americans' personal and proprietary information. Yikes! On Saturday, I take what is said with a grain of salt, and you should too. Take what is said with a grain of salt. On Saturday, NPR reported that a person who was directly involved in the forthcoming suit but was not authorized to speak with the company stated that TikTok planned to sue the Trump administration early as Tuesday. Oops. That's a big oops. So that's that part on how TikTok is quietly controversial and facing a ban and what consequences it's getting, about how it's being banned. TikTok is popular among millennials and people who use it. I'm not really sure if boomers use TikTok as well, but it is boomer, or it's not really boomer, but it's millennials who use the app. I don't use TikTok at all. Snapchat I use because, one, it is just like TikTok, but it's short form mobile videos. And TikTok is based in or not TikTok, Snapchat is US based. TikTok isn't. ByteDance is the parent company. Tencent's Wechat is also facing a threat of being in trouble too. Wechat is also owned by Tencent. This is the privately held company in China. That's basically what that is. It was founded by Zhang Yiming. I cannot pronounce Chinese names properly at times. I cannot. January 2000 is a Chinese new information content platform, product of the Beijing-based company ByteDance. Things like that. Douyin is a Chinese variant of TikTok. So TikTok has its Chinese counterpart that is known as Douyin, or Douyin, however you pronounce it. Douyin is the Chinese version of TikTok for America. Buzz Video and other products are owned by that and things like that. There is some lawsuits about the ban. The Indian government banned TikTok along with 58 Chinese apps, including UC Browser, ShareIt, WeChat, Club Factory, Cam Scanner on June 29th, 2020. Basically, the Indian government forbids 58 Chinese apps. They basically just ban anything that's Chinese-related apps from the App Store. The Indian government did that. They basically just kicked out all that. That's basically the nutshell of why TikTok may get banned. Musical.ly was a social media service headquartered in Shanghai with a U.S. office in Santa Monica, California. But Musical.ly automatically was released 6 years ago in 2014. Things like that. Musical.ly Inc. was merged into TikTok on August 2nd, 2018. ByteDance soaked up Musical.ly and then merged it into TikTok directly. Automatically did that. There are a lot of notable users. Things like that. So basically, my only complaint with privacy and security is that some companies, there's no telling what a company will do with data behind the scenes and things like that. But in April 2020, the Cyberspace Administration of China ordered ByteDance to take down its Office collaboration tool called Faceu because it could be used to circumvent internet censorship. China basically has a censored internet connection. Cheetah Mobile is another Chinese company. It's been caught doing controversial stuff. I will automatically read more about that. And then I'll cut it here for the night. Despite the popularity of its Clean Master Android app, it was reported in 2014 that ads promoting Clean Master manipulate Android users with deceptive tactics and when browsing websites with the app's advertising framework. Within the app's advertising framework. In April 2014, Ferenc I cannot pronounce that last name. I cannot pronounce that name. The middle name. Ferenc Nagy from Sophos Labs captured some pop-up ads that led to Clean Master warning the device had been infected with a virus. In July 2014, Cheetah Mobile encouraged users to uninstall Google Chrome and replace it with Cheetah Mobile's own browser during Clean Master's cleanup and optimization process. This practice allowed Cheetah Mobile to gain an unfair position in the marketplace and led to a Google crackdown. In December 2018, Cheetah Mobile was implicated in a massive click fraud scheme, leading Google to remove 2 of its apps from its Play Store. Cheetah Mobile has denied the charges. In February 2020, Google banned nearly 600 apps from the Play Store, including all of Cheetah Mobile's apps for violating our disruptive ads policy and disallowed initial CO policy. As of March 10, 2020, all apps made by Cheetah Mobile, along with the benchmarking and Tutu apps, have been banned from the Google Play Store. That's fun. The Google Play Store has had some apps pulled and banned entirely. This is the Google Play, formerly known as Android Market. It's had some controversies and security problems, such as malware being silently uploaded and injected into the Google Play Store. It started off in early 2008, 2009, formerly known as the Play Store. It was known as Android Market at the time. Certain Google services are not available around the world. Certain countries are. China has Google blocked Google blocked and other services blocked in China. Therefore, Google Play movies, music, books, and TV shows are unavailable. Things like that. There have been some security snafus with malware that were uploaded to the Play Store. In February 2012, Google introduced a new automated antivirus system called Google Bouncer to scan both new and existing apps for malware. Example, spyware Trojan horses. In 2017, the Bouncer feature and other safety measures within the Android platform were rebranded under the umbrella name Google Play Protect, a system that regularly scans apps for threats. iOS or iPhone has more secure app store because Apple has a walled garden and Apple can say what apps are allowed on their app store. For iPhone, iPad, and Mac, like they're allowed to say what apps can and can't be on it. Android apps can ask for or require certain permissions on the device, including access to body sensors, calendar, camera, context, location, microphone, phone, SMS storage, Wi-Fi, and access to Google accounts. In July 2017, Google described a new security effort called peer grouping, in which apps performing similar functionality, such as calculator apps, are grouped together and attributes compared. If one app stands out oddly, such as requesting more device permissions than others in the same group, Google's systems automatically flag the app and security engineers take a closer inspection. Peer grouping is based on app descriptions, metadata, and statistics such as download counts. The Android market had a Trojan rootkit exploit that was released to the then Android market in early 2011 in March and spring of that time. Basically, the Trojan was automatically submitted to the Android market in spring 2011, which was very bad. Basically pirated versions of existing priced apps is what it was. The issue flaw here with. Basically, the Google Play Store, formerly known as Android Market, was rife with tons of security problems. This is the availability of Google Play per country. Google Play is allowed in Albania. Customers can purchase, developers can sell, but Google Play Pass and devices, magazines, books, movies, TV shows, standard music, all access is not available. Algeria, it's only got 2 things available. Developers can sell and purchasers can sell. Or customers can purchase, developers can sell. Google Play Pass devices and other things are not available. No's are in red. Yes, it's in green. Australia, everything's available for Google Play, but Google Play is not available in almost all countries. Some features are unavailable in some countries. Some are, some aren't. Botswana and Brazil have it enabled, but what's not available is Google Play Pass is not available in Brazil. Canada's got all Google Play services. The British Virgin Islands can have it where people can purchase, but developers cannot sell on the Play Store in the British Virgin Islands. Bulgaria allows 2 of them out of the rest, so 2 are allowed in Bulgaria, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 are not allowed. 1, 2 are allowed. The last 2 categories are allowed, but 6 of them aren't. China, Google Play is actually partially allowed in China, but the exception is customers can't purchase anything. Developers can sell, but the other Google Play features are forbidden in China. So basically, you can access Google Play in China, but you just can't really purchase anything, but developers can sell, things like that. These are all the countries where you can find Google Play. It varies by country per country basis, meaning certain Google Play features are unavailable, some are. That's how it is. Here's internet censorship in China. China, the People's Republic of China, PRC, controls the internet. Basically, they control what goes through their internet and what goes out. They use DNS spoofing, blocking access to IP addresses, analyzing filtering URLs, packet inspection, and they reset connections to certain sites to stop access. VPNs, China heavily cracks down on VPNs there. They heavily crack Wechat the whole VPN usage. That's what China does. 1989, Tiananmen Square protests. There's a lot of censorship in China. There was a usage of an internet kill switch. China completely shut down internet service in the autonomous region of Xinjiang from July 2009 to May 2010 for up to 312 days after July 2009 Urumqi riots. Hard to pronounce that name. For COVID, China did the same thing. Reporters Without Borders accused that China's policies prevented an earlier warning about the COVID pandemic. At least one doctor suspected as early as the 25th December 2019. Mind you, in December 2019 is when COVID broke out. My birthday was actually at least 2 days or a day or two before. So at least 3 days ago, I had my birthday in December 2019, and then after my birthday is when COVID began to fall out, began to completely break free. In December 2019, that outbreak was occurring, but arguably may have been deterred from informing the media due to harsh punishment for whistleblowers. During the pandemic, academic research concerning the origin of the virus was censored. President Xi Jinping was also criticized and made fun of, like Winnie the Pooh, which was not very nice. That its image became censored out. Searches for journalists in blue were blocked after reporters' article went viral in 2018. So basically, China's censorship circumvention involved a VPN service, changing IPs, using a mirror website. Basically, internet censorship in China is circumvented by determined parties by using proxy servers outside the firewall. It's called the Great Firewall of China. Users may circumvent all of the censorship and monitoring of the Great Firewall if they have a working VPN or SSH connection method to a computer outside of mainland China. However, disruptions of VPN services have been reported in the free or popular services especially are increasingly being blocked. To avoid deep packet inspection and to continue providing services in China, some VPN providers implemented server obfuscation. Thanks, Brett's channel. Basically, most VPN providers have obfuscated their servers to prevent China from getting in the way. Some IP addresses were changed. Since free hosting blog services like Blogger and WordPress frequently face blockage, some China-focused services explicitly offered to change a blog's IP address within 30 minutes if it was blocked by the authorities. A mirror website. In 2002, Chinese citizens used the Google Mirror Egloog. It's Elgoog. Google rearranged, so it's ELGOOG, with the LE reversed to the beginning of the name Google. After China blocked Google, basically, Eglug is a mirrored website. It's backwards. If you took a regular mirror, it would flip the word Google around. It would flip Egoog or Elgoo to Google, modifying the network stack. I'm talking about privacy and internet and gaming at the same time, so this is what it's going to be. In July 2006, researchers at Cambridge University claimed to have defeated the firewall by ignoring the TCP reset packets, using Tor and DPI-resistant tools or deep packet inspection tools to get around the circumvention. Basically, the data packets through the internet are looked at more detail using deep packet inspection. It basically looks inside of a packet. Basically, this is known as DPI packet sniffing, is a type of data processing that inspects in detail the data being sent over a computer network and usually takes action by blocking, rerouting, or logging it accordingly. So basically, DPI is the deep packet inspection, but stateful packet inspection is different. Now, I'm not going to really read all this because it's going to be too lengthy, but most governments, such as Iran, use deep packet inspection. Most governments do, or surveillance, things like that. Basically for surveillance, different things like that. China blocks Wikipedia, Google encrypted.google.com. Let's see if we attempt to go there. It redirects to the standard google.com. These are used primarily in China because of the deep packet inspection that China is doing. It blocks Wikipedia, Google, Facebook, YouTube, OpenVPN, StrongVPN, Falun Dafa, VPN coupons, and Elephant VPN. Iran does the exact same thing where they block certain sites. Russia, Syria, Malaysia, Egypt. Certain countries utilize the deep packet inspection to block or use the deep packet inspection to block websites. Some cases. That's a nutshell of that. This also involves net neutrality as well. This also talks about net neutrality too, in a way. In America, net neutrality was going to be dismantled by Ajit Pai when he first got elected as FCC chairman, but it caused a lot of backlash. An example is Portuguese internet service provider Mio offers smartphone contracts with monthly data limits and sells additional monthly packages for particular data services. Critics of the EU's net neutrality rules say they are broken loopholes that allow data for different services to be sold under zero rating exceptions to data limits. Consumer advocates of net neutrality have cited this pricing model as an illustration of internet access with weak net neutrality protection. Basically, this is in Portuguese, but it's Portugal, or Mio, or the Portuguese internet service provider wanted to automatically do net neutrality, where they have a messaging package for $4.99 for €4.99. Same thing for messaging, social, video, music, email, and cloud. But Mio offers its standard apps free of charge. But for video and all these other things, Mio wanted to give zero rating or monthly data limits towards certain apps and services without the net neutrality protection. Long story short, net neutrality allows treating internet traffic differently depending on the type of platform, application type of equipment, or source address. That's basically net neutrality in a nutshell about how certain providers can get in the way of accessing like Netflix, YouTube, or quality service limiting, like limiting connections, or slowing down the quality, like using quality service to slow down things a bit, like taking a user's connection, making it go slower for YouTube and Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, like video streaming services, things like that. Like basically putting things into a fast and slow lane. It's like an internet fast lane and putting other things into an internet slow lane. This drew a lot of backlash from all different providers with using net neutrality. With Agit Pi terminating it at the time, it just basically caused a lot of backfire, where Agit Pi and the FCC were criticized for terminating net neutrality, but user tolerances for slow loading sites would annoy people. In the context of the internet here, all this is that users who gets used to the fast lane on the internet would find the slow lane intolerable in comparison, greatly disadvantaging any provider who is unable to pay for the fast lane. Basically, the video providers would have to pay to get into the fast lane, and then there would also be the slow lane, so it would hurt video startups. A faster flow of information on the internet can make people less patient, but slow internet speeds can cause patient issues, like having a fiber internet connection that's a gigabit per second home connection for the internet, where things load very, very quickly, just like how dial-up was so slow that in the early 2000s, dial-up sites and for internet dial-up connections of 56 kilobits per second would be a bit too pitiful. I used to use AOL in early 1992, or actually early 2000, not 1992. I used it in early 2000 all the way to 2004, and the dial-up speed was so slow that sites would load, but there would be often random disconnects or certain problems. Canada also had net neutrality as a debated issue in Canada, but not to the degree in the United States. So the United States discussed it. In Canada, ISPs provide internet service in a neutral manner, but some incidents include Bell Canada's throttling of certain protocols and TELUS censorship of a specific website critical of the company were blocked. Bell Canada got caught throttling certain, like slowing traffic to certain protocols like peer-to-peer networks. They were caught slowing it. Throttling in the sense of internet connection speeds is slowing a connection to certain things. So that's really what that is in a nutshell. And obviously it's going to get close to 12 a.m. But I'm going to continue going, and we're going to get back to the game. How would you react if your internet service provider slowed down Netflix, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, or Instagram? Like, it would slow social media sites down, but allow some other sites to load quickly, but slow down popular sites and popular apps. Like, slow down some and speed up others. It's kind of like a fast and slow game. Or some things are faster than others, and some things are terribly slow than others. Of course, modern computers, like web servers, can detect when a web request is taking too long, and it would time out and or drop the connection to the web page. If the connection speed is so slow, like dial-up or satellite, where the connection speed is pitifully slow, the server would time out the request, and the web browser would say such and such page, like www.google.com, took too long to respond, meaning the request and connection has timed completely out. That's basically what that is. A connection request timeout. I'm going to shut up about the whole technology part for now. I've already talked about it from time to time, like segments, so I'm going to stop talking about that. That's just the nutshell version of it. I'm not going to go into the full detail. I'm just creating a TLDR, too long, didn't read, or too long, like the too long, didn't read or don't read. I do think that net neutrality should be around, because eliminating it would cause a disastrous scenario. But luckily, it's not been widely seen as of now. The internet was fine before net neutrality, and then there was some examples of AT&T blocking certain things like Skype instead, or blocking FaceTime and Skype over their network, like basically blocking it over the cellular network. They're clearly putting a block on FaceTime or Skype, possibly blocking the video communication through those methods, like basically just putting a block on FaceTime. Well, they didn't really block FaceTime, but they blocked Skype, I think, a long time ago in favor of FaceTime for iPhone. I'll have to pull that up because it's been a while, a very long time. Let's see. AT&T had some controversy in its days when the company started. I'll just read a little bit about the controversies that AT&T got themselves caught in. Let's see, not privacy. I want to learn about criticism and controversies of AT&T. There was a forum about net neutrality where AT&T was caught blocking discrimination certain things. They were also involved in racism, trademark violation, but mainly I'm trying to find about the AT&T Mobility, the AT&T cellular network carrier, not the main company. AT&T started way back in the days. Their parent company is AT&T Latin America, which has AT&T Mexico, which is their Latin parent of the American parent, the Latin American variant. They were known as 1983 to 1995 as the Southwestern Bell Corporation of Bell South. They later had SBC Communications Inc. 1995 to 2005. Canada has Bell Mobility, but AT&T is the mobile carrier here in the U.S. So see also, let's see. There should be an AT&T Mobility thing. Show. AT&T Mobility is its. AT&T now owns DirecTV, formerly known as DirecTV by HughesNet Corporation, but it was later sold to AT&T and things like that. AT&T Mobility or AT&T US or AT&T Mobility LLC. It was AT&T Wireless. Well, Singular was available in 2004, but AT&T swallowed up Singular Wireless. It basically absorbed it in. They basically were caught in some controversies, including misleading people into thinking 4G and 5G networks. They were misleading people. T-Mobile USA basically called out AT&T misrepresenting 4G. T-Mobile now owns Sprint, which Sprint has merged into T-Mobile altogether. Basically, they were caught of throttling unlimited plans. They were caught slowing down unlimited data speeds. I'm going to wrap up in a nutshell. In 2012, AT&T came under scrutiny for throttling the speed of data delivered to customers with an unlimited data plan. AT&T used to have data plans until like 2012 or 2013 or something like that, but they brought back the unlimited data way late. Speed delivered to customers with an unlimited data plan. This company has claimed that despite its claim of network speeds, it is within its legal rights to reduce the speed of data consumers who reach preset thresholds. In May 2012, Matt Sparcelli, the last name seems Italian, a truck driver, won a small claims lawsuit against the company for slowing down its service. A Simi Valley, California judge awarded Sparcelli $850, agreeing that unlimited service shouldn't be subject to slowdowns. Additionally, AT&T's user agreement does not permit class action lawsuits against the company. In 2014, the FTC sued AT&T for deceptive business practices. In November 2019, AT&T agreed to pay $60 million to settle the suit, which must be distributed as a partial refund to customers who signed up for the affected plans prior to 2011. It was also agreed to prominently disclose any throttling restrictions it imposes on its wireless plans in the future. Basically, AT&T got a slap on the wrist of throttling unlimited data, and then they also got caught in misrepresenting their network technology. They were caught doing that. Their different slogans are "Your world close at hand," "What to say fits you best," or even the bar with singular slogan. "More bars and more places, your world delivered." "Rethink possible, mobilizing your world." "Entertainment your way." "For more for your thing, that's our thing." They're use different marketing slogans to do that. Now, I'm basically incorporating mixed topics into one instead of just focusing on gaming a whole lot. Even T-Mobile USA was supposed to be purchased by AT&T, but that backfired. That failed. So Sprint got absorbed by T-Mobile. Singular was absorbed by AT&T. So we're going to do... I'm trying to find about whether they were caught blocking certain apps or blocking FaceTime or Skype or something. I'm trying to find all that. Cricket is also owned by AT&T. It was formerly known as AO Wireless, but AO Wireless merged with Cricket. AO Wireless is a defunct brand, and I remember seeing AO Wireless. It was a subsidiary of AT&T Inc., and it offered CDMA devices, and it later went out of business. AT&T GoPhone is also a prepaid carrier of that. AT&T Mobility. Now my mom used to have AT&T as their wireless service, but she later dropped them. This is mainly just different discussions of different things, not fixed topic. So that's pretty much it on those companies. And the term of net neutrality, blocking certain things from the internet, not allowing certain stuff to work due to blocking of certain protocols or apps or connections. And we're back to the game. I'm going to call it here for the overnight because it's 12 in the morning.